What did you say? I'm sorry, amateur what? The style?
No, lo stile, delle immagini sgranate e questa scelta stilistica.
Yeah, I thought the word amateur was used, but okay. Oh, okay. Well, I think maybe what you mean is like it's more of a rough, raw feel with the 16 millimeter. Yes. Okay. Yes. All right. Well, there were a few reasons I went with 16. One of them was definitely a budget issue, and we had to move fast and we had to be small. The entire camera crew was literally was 4 people. Drew Daniels, my incredible cinematographer, and then his 2 ACs, and then one more person, Chris Hill, who was both the gaffer and the grip. So there were 4 people all together creating those beautiful images, and they were amazing. I wanted to do something different though. I didn't want to just shoot flat 16. I wanted to elevate it a little bit. So we shot anamorphic. We did it with 16 millimeter anamorphic lenses for the most part. For me, that elevated it, gave it more of a classic, cinematic feel. And plus, this was the first time that these Panavision lenses were used on a feature film, and which I was really happy about because I felt we were doing something unique. But it's interesting being here in Italy because honestly, for the last 5 years, I've been really focusing on Italian cinema of the early 70s, especially genre films. And I'm talking like, not just spaghetti westerns and giallos, but Euro crime and sex comedies and sex dramas, erotic dramas. And that's why I even thank Ornella Moody at the end of the film, because the body of work that she did sort of inspired the Strawberry character, the body of work she did early on in her career. So I think there's a lot that I pulled from the craft of those filmmakers from the early 70s, Fernando De Leo, Sergio Martino. You'll even see a little bit of Umberto Lenzi in there, I think. I hope. I'm wearing they were very influential. I actually showed those films to my director of photography, Appassionata. A lot of those. I gave him a whole list to watch. And then he, in turn, brought Sugarland Express, Spielberg's Sugarland Express, to the table, and the wonderful work that Vilmos Zsigmond did. And I fell back in love with Sugarland Express. I hadn't seen it for 30 years. So in a way, I see this movie in terms of the influence on the craft, I see it as a mashup between early 70s Italian genre films and Spielberg. Umberto Lenzi meets Spielberg. I hope I answered your question. Oh, casting? Casting, I love to mix my cast with very experienced actors and first-timers. And I've also decided that from now on, I'm casting all of my films, because normally I do that anyway, and now I want to take credit for it because I basically do my own street casting and I work with the agencies to get the bigger names. So in this case, my 3 leads, Simon, Susie, and Bree, are all experienced actors. Bree has been in theater for 2 decades. Susie studied acting in college and came to Los Angeles as an aspiring actress. And Simon has had 3 decades of different work in the industry. And then all the rest of the cast are all first-timers that I personally found in Texas. And I was very lucky. There are a lot of serendipity and a lot of happy accidents. The way that I found everybody, it was very unique. For example, I'll give you one example. Brittany Rodriguez, who plays June in the film, the daughter of Leandria, we just saw her walking down the street, walking her Chihuahua. And she looked very interesting, and I like Chihuahuas. So I said, circle the block, and we drove up to her, and there's that little creepy moment where we have to explain why we're approaching her, but we said, we're independent filmmakers here in Houston, we're trying to make a film, and we'd like to know if you'd like to audition for the role. And she was, we didn't know what she was going to say, and there was a little bit of silence there, and then she goes, I'm a fellow artist, and this sounds right up my alley. Here's my information, let's talk. And then we auditioned her, she was wonderful, and she kept getting better and better and better. We fleshed her character out. She helped us with, she literally collaborated with us in terms of, she became our consultant in some ways about local slang and telling us where we were being accurate and where we weren't being accurate, and helping us get there. So yeah, it was a great mix, and everybody got along, everybody had different levels of experience, but they all played wonderfully together. And one last thing I'll say about that, I was very, very lucky to find these first-time actors who also had the gift of comedic improvisation, because I always encourage improv, and this was a full script. This was almost a 120-page script, so they could always rely on the dialogue if they had to, but they also had the gift of just being able to make stuff up on the spot. And some of those wonderful lines that they came up with are some of my favorite lines in the film, actually. That's what all of my films are about. They're all focused on the underground economy in one form or another. It just happens to be that my last few films have focused on sex work. And from my research, I found that most people who work in the adult film world, or in sex work in general, are doing it for financial reasons. And most sex work, I think, is survival sex work. So that's. And I'm not speaking for all sex workers. I'm just speaking for obviously the ones that I've focused on in my films. I hope I answered your question there.